So I have 3 books published. So the first book is called The Mission Alpha, The Wise and Passionate You. You can get all the 3 books on Amazon, so that's where they live, or on my website. But this book is a manual for your energy system. So if you ever wanted to understand how your energy system works, like what are the chakras, not from like, oh, I picked up a coloring book and it says like this chakra, this color, this chakra, that color, but sort of a PhD level as to what really are the energetics of each chakra. How do you know if your chakras are open or blocked by what, and what to do to clean this up? That's the book for you. This is from over 10 years of me teaching, when I had kind of like a school when I was literally educating people on how to do that. So you can think of it like, I always joke that if you're not psychic, like you can't see energy, but you can memorize this book, you can fake being psychic. That's how good it is. Like it literally has so many parameters that are based on me explaining my clairvoyant vision into material sensing, that you can recognize patterns even if you don't understand the energy or don't see it, through other means. So I explain, what does it feel like? What does it smell like? How do you, sense it in your body, and so on, that you literally get it, even if, let's say, clairvoyance is not your skill. So it's a great book to understand energetics, to understand different levels of energy field. I think there's so much confusion in the world about like, Hindu names and then some kind of more New Agey names, and people mix it up into something that is very, in my opinion, flattened, like a very dumbed down version of like, oh, this chakra does that. No, it doesn't. We are multidimensional beings. Each chakra exists on 7 levels and so on. There's so much complexity in a field, and it's a disservice to look at the aura from the standpoint how I think it's been in a dumbed down version. So this, if you like actually want to know the not dumbed down version, the true, like how it works, that's what this book is. It describes all of it. So then I have a second book, which is called Awakening the Harmony Within. So just from the name, you can see that this is about application of a lot of the practices in the first book. So it's a standalone book, so you don't have to have the first one to get the second one, but it explains different ways of how you can interact with the world. I talk about the Trinity. I talk about how the masculine, the feminine, and the neutral component, the third piece, how that works within us and what it all means in our life, and kind of a really large perspective, and then an application techniques onto our life. And then my third book, my favorite book, it's called The Secret of Sekhmet, How Akhenaten Challenged the Gods of Egypt. This book is a channeled material that is historically correct. So this is from the past life I used to have in the time of Queen Tia and Akhenaten and Nefertiti. And that is a time in Egypt where frequency has changed from the overlay of controlling system that was very regimented for a short period of time into a high frequency one god system, and then shifted back into kind of a multi-god system, the traditional system of Egypt. So that little moment as to why that happened had an influence of a star being called Sekhmet. In Egypt, she is the lion goddess, but she's actually a Syrian 6-dimensional being, and how she came in and did specific things in Egypt. And the methodology of some of the religious understandings of Egyptian culture, and how that got slightly modified, and how a lot of the mystery schools later on, like from Thoth and so on, that happened, they all came from this little moment in history that's sort of like a flash in a pan from, historical perspective, even though it was a certain number of years. So in that book, I describe from my own memories, literally what has happened, who did what with whom, and what were the conversations. And in the book, you get to kind of walk through Egyptian spaces at that time. So you can almost like feel it and smell it. And I describe all the details literally from the memories I have, and the material is historically correct. Like I know a lot of archaeologists that all were saying to me like, okay, who did you talk to? Because some of this genetic testing and whatever that we've been doing to see like who's related to whom, whatever on the mummies, that is not even a published material. And yet everything in your book is what our testing says. So it's like you're actually exposing some of the stuff that, publicly we don't want to, because it might create some, issue and whatever. And I know this not from any genetic testing or talking to anybody, but from my own memory, because I remember that this woman had this baby and this baby then became that and so on. So that's all in the book. It's written as an adventure novel. So it's written like a novel. You literally, like, there's one made up character that is from the current time that goes exploring all of that. But everything that the exploration itself, it's all actually historically correct. So it's a page turner. It goes really, really fast, and you don't want to put it down because there's stuff happening, and there's mystery, and there's adventure, and there's danger, and there's all this wonderful stuff. And I had so much fun writing that book. And I think it's 300 something pages. Yeah, it's 397, and it was 600. So I had to actually cut out a big chunk to get this published because it was getting too big. And I kept feeling like, oh my God, I don't want to kill my baby. This is so awesome. So hopefully you enjoyed that. It's called The Secret of Sekhmet.